You're watching A-Star TV. Its owners and associates take no responsibility for the opinions or statements made by the hosts of this talk show or their guests.
With Willie Powells. With Willie Powells. With Willie Powells. With Willie Powells. With Willie Powells.
Welcome to All About the Law. And here's your host, Willie Powells.
Hello and welcome to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Attorney Willie Powells. We have a great show for you tonight. We are talking about drunk driving. As a personal injury lawyer, I have seen my fair share of the devastation drunk driving can cause. December is National Impaired Driving Prevention Month. Nearly 900 people in Texas were killed in DUI, DWI, alcohol-related type crashes back in 2019. Tonight, we'll talk about the human toll drunk driving can have on families, and we'll also discuss the legal side of things if you ever tried and convicted. One thoughtless moment of getting behind the wheel of a car when drunk can cause a lifetime of heartache, not just for the driver, but those innocent folks involved in a crash. More All About the Law when we come back.
Stay right there. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more All About the Law.
All About the Law with Willie Powells.
Have you been injured in an 18-wheeler accident, truck accident, car accident? Was someone texting and ran into the back of you, not paying attention? It doesn't matter what it is. Give me a call, Attorney Willie Powells. We'll fix it today. The number is 281-881-2457. Again, that number is 281-881-2457. We'll fix it today. Call Attorney Willie Powells.
My prenatal promise is to make sure my baby is safe and healthy, because I know it is possible to acquire syphilis, HIV, or other STDs without knowing it. Getting tested is my very first chance to protect my baby. Doctors are required to give expectant mothers 3 separate tests for syphilis. If you're pregnant, ask your doctor if you're being tested properly for syphilis and other STDs. Congenital syphilis can lead to a miscarriage, stillbirth, or an infant death. Don't risk your baby's health. To find out more, visit myprenatalpromise.com.
With Willie Powells. The Law with Willie Powells.
Welcome back. And if you've been driving for any length of time, you are aware of the dangers of drinking and driving. TV ads, news stories of accidents, and their catastrophic effects are broadcast, especially at the holidays. But drinking and driving is not seasonal, and warnings are not always deterrent. Statewide, Texas saw a total of 24,617 DUI crashes in 2019. Damages range from property damage to loss of life. Harris County is among one of the highest for DUI accidents, with 3,603 in 2019. Joining me now is a good friend and excellent trial lawyer, Todd Kelly of the Carlson Law Firm in Austin. Hey, Todd, how's it going, my man?
Doing great, Willie. It's so good to see you, and thank you for having me. It's always good to be in your presence. You bring a smile to my face, brother.
Oh, wonderful. And likewise, that's mutual. And, we're going to jump right to the issue at hand tonight. And as you know, we're coming upon one of the biggest holiday parts of our entire year. And that's when people get together for Christmas. And then we got, of course, the big welcoming in the New Year's. And we want to try to talk about things where we can kind of help people best understand what things they should or should not do to prevent what happened in the case that you're going to share with us today, all right? And
Sure.
I brought you in. You did a remarkable job. You helped out a family that was involved, that, as a result of drunk driving. And I'm not going to steal the thunder. I'm going to let you tell your story. But you had that case. It involved a football player. We know how much we love our football players down here in Texas.
Right.
Let us know a little bit about what happened in that case, Todd.
Well, sure. And I'll just use first names, but Tommy was actually a high school football teammate of mine. And so we've been friends for most of our life. And I got a disturbing call from him last year about a crash that he had been in. And Tommy, after we graduated high school, had met Shelly, who was the love of his life. And he was helping raise Shelly's 2 children, and they were raising Tommy's son that they had together. So they had 3 kids at home. And Tommy and Shelly had been out of town on a trip at about this time last year. I think it was early November. And they were coming home, and it was about 10:30 at night. And a car jumped across the median as they were coming home at their home in Tarrant County, and it hit Tommy's car head on. And he reached over to Shelly, and he heard Shelly take her last gasp. And when Tommy called me, he was, as you might imagine, devastated. But there were things in this case that were you wouldn't think about, because there was no formal adoption, for instance, of Shelly's kids. They weren't considered Tommy's. And so there was family disputes that arose, and it really ripped the family apart because the driver of a truck chose to go out to the bar that night and have too much to drink.
Wow.
And there you see on the screen what he did when he hit Tommy and Shelly's car.
Wow.
Now, he was killed instantly. But, you mentioned earlier, Willie, that, drinking and driving is not seasonal. We do see an uptick around the holidays, but especially during this era of COVID lockdown, this is a round-the-clock, year-round problem. I happen to also serve currently as the president of the Mothers Against Drunk Driving Advisory Committee here in the capital area. And we are in the middle of our Red Ribbon campaign right now, trying to encourage people to understand what you need to do. Call a cab, call an Uber, call a Lyft.
Wow.
The price of an Uber, a Lyft, or a taxi cab is so much less than the price of even that ticket you're going to pay if you're caught drinking and driving. But certainly it's worth a whole lot less than that life you can cost.
Todd, you and I, we've seen this tragic story way more than what we should over our careers. And why do you think that people, what's your thought as to why people still think that, hey, I had drinks, but it's okay, I can do it, or I'm not that far? Why do you think this happens? What do you think people are typically thinking before something like this happens?
I think there's a whole lot of it'll never happen to me, right? We all know in a vacuum, if I drink, I'm not supposed to drive. We know that. Right. But yet people do it, and good people who, you would run into on the street and you would think there's just wonderful, giving, loving people. Right. But they take this risk because they believe, hey, that's never going to happen to me. Right. But it can happen to any one of us.
It can happen to any one of us. And expound upon that emotional distress. Even let's say you get the case settled or you win in court and we get the money, but what about that family? What's the distress? I mean, share with the people what that is all about. It's not, after something like this.
Sure. In the case that we're talking about here, the entire insurance policy was paid for Tommy and his family. Sure. But that doesn't bring Shelly back. Right. Tommy lost the love of his life. Right. He doesn't have her to go home to. He and I happen to be Facebook friends. And when I post pictures of my family,
Right.
Sometimes he'll comment. That's wonderful. And I just feel guilty for him because I know that's been taken from him.
Wow.
That sense of joy, that sense of just holding his wife's hand. One of the things he talked to me about was just having that hand in the evening.
Wow.
No words, no comments, nothing more than just holding her hand, but it's gone. He doesn't have that hand to hold anymore.
Yeah, that's the lasting impact, lifelong injury that, that's just going to be there. And no matter what we do, we're not going to be able, and we want people to understand that, a moment of thoughtlessness is not worth a lifetime of suffering, for that individual or the others that may be involved. And this is a class, a class act case to speak about as we're approaching the holidays. Hey, take a second thought. And like as you said, and as you said, we got Uber, we got Lyft, we got limo, we got taxi, we got carpooling.
Some people say know your limitations, but I ought to say is your limitation is one. After one, be planning to put your keys down. Call Lyft, call Uber, call a taxi, call a limo, call a friend.
Yeah.
Don't do it. There's no clearer way to say it than that. It's not worth the risk. You're talking about taking someone's life into your hands when your mind is its least capable of taking care of that life. Just don't do it.
Wonderful. Wonderful sound advice, as you always give. I'm sure we helped a few people today, and thank you for coming on the show and helping us help people. By taking this tragic story, maybe we can help save some lives going forward over these next couple of weeks. And hey, Todd, let everybody know the number they can reach you at out there in Austin. I know I think you were here in Houston first, and then you moved out to Austin.
I was.
Yeah. And so, give us so we can stay in touch.
I'm at the Carlson Law Firm these days. My number is 512-823-2237. And if you call me, let me know that you saw us on Willie's show, and I'll make sure Willie comes into the case with me.
I tell you what, see, that's what I'm talking about. He has a heart. He gives back. Hey, look, the check is in the mail, Todd. No, it's playing. No check. That's just his heart. He said that all on his own. I thank you, man. Thank you again for coming on the show. Again, you're looking sharp. And look, I'm looking forward to working with you. I have some work down here in Houston, so don't be a stranger. If I call you, man, I'm looking forward to hanging out with you. And
I'll answer. I gotta learn just like you, brother. I don't look sharp nearly like you do.
Oh, come on, Todd. Tell the family I said hello, all right?
I will do it.
Up next, the consequences of drinking and driving. More All About the Law right after this.
Stay right there. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more All About the Law.
All About the Law with Willie Powells.
Have you been injured in an 18-wheeler accident, truck accident, car accident? Was someone texting and ran into the back of you, not paying attention? It doesn't matter what it is. Give me a call, Attorney Willie Powells. We'll fix it today. The number is 281-881-2457. Again, that number is 281-881-2457. We'll fix it today. Call Attorney Willie Powells.
My prenatal promise is to make sure my baby is safe and healthy, because I know it is possible to acquire syphilis, HIV, or other STDs without knowing it. Getting tested is my very first chance to protect my baby. Doctors are required to give expectant mothers 3 separate tests for syphilis. If you're pregnant, ask your doctor if you're being tested properly for syphilis and other STDs. Congenital syphilis can lead to a miscarriage, stillbirth, or an infant death. Don't risk your baby's health. To find out more, visit myprenatalpromise.com.
The Law with Willie Powells.
Welcome back to All About the Law. Tonight we are discussing driving while drunk, and under the influence, particularly of alcohol. A person is considered legally intoxicated if their blood alcohol concentration is 0.08 or higher. A person's alcohol tolerance varies depending upon their height, their weight, gender, the number of alcoholic beverages consumed, and whether that person has eaten enough food or not. So while it could take a larger person a longer time to get to that level, if you are an itty bitty little person, you just might get there a lot more faster. So joining me now is Kenyatta Sadiki of Advantage Lifecare Solutions. It's great having you here on All About the Law, my man.
Thank you.
Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, tell me a little bit about your company and what you do.
Well, Advantage Lifecare Solutions is a multi-service agency, providing services primarily to individuals who have some sort of involvement with substance abuse issues. And so part of what we do is, of course, we offer a lot of the services that are required by the courts if someone gets a substance-related case. But also anger management courses that we offer, or anger management therapy that we offer, as well as we do the CPR and first aid certifications or trainings or whatever. So we offer a lot of different services, again, but primarily to those who have some type of substance-related issue, and then the law has gotten involved.
Well, you know, that's the exact reason why we're so glad you were able to join us on the show today, because we're entering in one of the busiest seasons for parties and, you know, where a lot of alcohol consumption takes place. You figure just past Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's coming up. And, you know, as I had mentioned before, we had already gotten about 2 or 3 DWI calls, you know, at the office. And so I want to know, do you get an uptick around this time of year as well from DWI calls, or what does it look like on your side?
About 6 months to a year after the holidays, after Thanksgiving, after Christmas, when people are not working, especially right now during COVID or whatever, people are not working, and so that's when a lot of drinking and driving is taking place, a lot of traveling going on. Yeah,
well, you know, you hit it right on the head. That 6 months, you know, because usually after we get the call, we're still working with them, okay? And that means they call us, we need to get them out of jail, if at all. And then from there, the representation. And by the way, we're talking a lot of money, okay? For anybody who thinks that you can just make it down to the grocery store or the corner stores and you can get back and, you know, get that Budweiser for the next game, it could be a wealth of expense if you happen to get it and caught in a DWI or hit somebody as it pertains to this type of a case. You know, so what happens is there's both a civil and a criminal aspect to your case. And that's one of the first questions. What we have to advise people is that, you know, you lose your driver's license most of the time, and we have to get an occupational license or some sort of substitute in place for you civilly, but then also criminally, you still have the underlying case in which you need representation for, and, you know, and that just ticks and ticks up and ticks up more. So let's say they called us or a different office and they've sought representation. Let's say it was their first case as an example, and the court has issued probation or something like this, and there are conditions. If you get that call, let's say 6 to 8 months, what would be what you would do at this point?
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is ask them exactly what it is they have to take. What do their stipulations require?
Exactly.
So whether it be a DWI first-time offense, that's going to be DWI education.
Good.
If there's been more than one offense, chances are they'll be taking the DWI intervention course. And, you know, we can get into that, but as far as intervention can be even if you have one DWI under certain circumstances, right? And then they may have to take the drug offender education course. What's common right now is that the counties are bundling the services. So they may come and have to do supportive outpatient treatment, depending on what their BAC level was.
Yes.
Was there a wreck? Did someone get hurt?
Yes.
So they'll get bundled services to where they have to do substance abuse programs in addition to victim impact and DWI courses.
That's right. And oftentimes I see the courts with maybe a donation to MAD or something like this to help prevent and educate the public about why it's so important not to drive while drunk. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So what is your conception when, like you said, it depends on if it's a DWI 1, DWI 2, and you have I guess a particular program for all the different type of cases. What do you usually see? What are you seeing? Are you seeing younger people? Are you seeing older people? Are you seeing what are you seeing?
Well, a little bit of everybody. Don't see too many millionaires. Or not a lot of law enforcement. Or people that are right. So but as far as the diversity, yes, there are people from various socioeconomic backgrounds, ethnicities, gender. So we're definitely seeing diverse groups come in. So DWIs, anybody can get most people can get a DWI.
Yeah, most people can do it. Now, do you see so you're saying, is there a difference between like what you see with the soccer moms, if you will, versus like the corporate guy in terms of your clientele?
Not really. We have a little bit, what we have coming through our doors can look like me, you, or, a lot of different, just like I said, it's pretty diverse. So young and old are getting DWIs right now.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important. There's no perspective of persons, right? If you, like we were saying before, big, large, small, old, young, rich, poor, everybody needs to pay attention and know that this is not something you want to do. Right. And what I wanted to, what are some of the misconceptions that you see, with people involved, by the time they're coming to see you?
Well, one is the .08. That's a part of the definition of being intoxicated. Another part of that definition is not having normal use of mental and physical faculties. Yes. So a lot of times people think that, I didn't blow a .08. But research shows that people that are .05 can be affected by it. And that's why some states actually do have .05 as their BAC limit. Yes. So, research has shown that all persons have been shown to be affected at .05. And so, yes, you may blow a .06, but then you might do a horrible job on the field sobriety test. Wow. So that's one misconception that people would have. Wow. Another misconception is, how can I get a DWI when the car is not moving? And so a lot of times people be like, well, the keys weren't in the ignition, but did you in fact operate that motor vehicle to get to where you are? Are you intending to operate that motor vehicle? So it's a lot of misconceptions in terms of how and when people can get a DWI.
That's right. That is so critical. You hit a lot of points. And then you even got public intoxication and other ways also where you kind of fall into that big funnel of possibilities. There's so much, but let's talk a little bit about the consequences. What would you say and consequences when people, have to go through your class and living and going forward, first, second, or third, or more?
Well, $10,000 is like that's standard. Yeah. Right? And you've seen upwards of $17,000 to $20,000 on a first DWI offense. When you add up lawyer fees, state fees, and all the other penalties associated with the DWI, as well as having to take all the courses. Yeah. Interlock devices in your car. Wow. You have to pay for that.
You've said it.
The mobile interlock devices that people have to walk around with. And you have to pay for that every month.
You sure do. I actually dated someone at one time that had one, and I remember her having to roll out of the bed to blow into the breathalyzer. You know what I mean? It's like, this is a major inconvenience. Yeah. People don't know. It's gonna, it changes your life. it changes your life. And, you hit some numbers. What they say usually, $2,000 for your first offense and a driver's license suspension for up to a year, something like up to $4,000 in fines and whatnot for a second offense. And your license suspended up to 2 years. And like you said, that third offense, you're looking at $10,000 and a license suspension up to 2 years, and even fines can exceed over $10,000. And like you said, that's before you've paid the lawyer. So we just, I just want people to get the rest of the story here today, okay? Because some people think it's okay. Some people still think it's okay. Hey, I just live down the street. I just live around the corner. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you could be looking at a substantial, and I'm talking 20, 30,000 or more. We're talking about a lifestyle change, right? Where I've dated somebody where they have to carry that little breathalyzer around. They could be at dinner, and if the PO said that you need to blow in at this time or whatever, they got to blow in. Yeah. Or even to start your car. Yeah. So they got it, like you said, the interlock to your car. You may have to, before you can drive, right, you got to blow in. So people are with you. You go out on a corporate meeting, whatever. You got to stop and blow into the machine after. Okay, they've gone through your class and they've completed it. How many repeats? How many repeats do you get?
Well, I tell you, nobody intends to even get their first one.
Exactly.
So definitely not intending to get a second one.
Absolutely not.
So the DWI repeat offender course, again, most of them have already gotten an initial DWI.
That's right.
And what they forget, or a lot of people don't know, is that they might have gotten their first DWI when they were 20.
Yes.
The second DWI when you're 60.
Yes.
Because it stays on your record. Another thing people should really know is that, especially during this time, what happens during the holiday season? People go to Christmas dinners. People go to Thanksgiving dinners.
Yes.
All the adults sit around drinking.
Yes.
And then all the kids are playing.
Yes.
Afterwards, everybody drives home with a kid in the car.
Ooh.
That's an automatic felony. Ooh. So even when it's your first DWI, like I have a lot of soccer moms or whatever you want to, however you want to categorize, well-to-do parents, professionals.
Yes, sir.
Who chose to take your child to a kid's birthday party, Christmas dinner, Thanksgiving dinner, and then end up with a felony DWI conviction at the end of the night because they drove home with their child in the car. First DWI, never been in trouble in their entire life, and now they have a felony DWI conviction, which automatically makes them have to take the DWI intervention course. That's an 8-week course as opposed to a 3-day DWI education course.
And we're talking jail time too. You bump that up to a felony.
In addition to the financial or the monetary consequences, it's the embarrassment.
Yes.
A lot of people are very embarrassed to have to go to jail because now you're in there with everyone else. Then on top of that, blowing in those devices isn't a turn on for a date.
No, it's not. It's just a turn off in every way imaginable. It's just you don't want it to happen. But and we'll hit one other. I wonder. Some of this is bad behavior, but some of this is a sickness. You got to. By the time people are calling the office, it's their second, it's their third, it's their fourth DWI. Or whatever, it's like, my goodness, and thank God maybe they have never killed anybody along the way or anything like that, but they're in their fourth or fifth. So what sort of assistance or what would you say to that person who there might be a problem, if you're looking at maybe your second one, like you said, 40, 60, third or fourth, what would you want to?
One of the biggest takeaways people have when they attend a supportive or intensive outpatient program, DWI course or a drug offender course, is when they're exposed to the signs and symptoms of a functioning or non-functioning alcoholic or drug user. When people are introduced to the criteria of the functional alcoholic, the one who goes to work every day, who pays his bills, who dresses nice, who smells nice, who makes good money, However, still depends on alcohol to cope effectively with life.
Wow.
Can't really go and be involved in social events without a drink.
Wow.
Right?
Yes.
Failure to cut down or to cease using the substance.
Wow.
Uncomfortable in situations where there's no alcohol. So when they get exposed to that criteria of what a functional alcoholic looks like,
yes,
they leave or you'll hear their feedback being, wow, I didn't know so many of those signs and symptoms applied to me.
Yes. Wow, that's powerful. And somebody needed to hear that tonight, because they're like, I got it together, I look good, I got a great job, but you may be a functional one, and if you don't know that, you could be the one that goes out and makes the mistake, right? And so thank you. There's so much I could talk on and on and on. There's so much more to say, but thank you for coming. I really hope that what we talked about here tonight has helped to deter or call somebody from doing that, or call somebody to think twice, and hopefully make a lot more people in our streets a lot more safer. We appreciate your expertise. And look, what's the best way that we can stay in touch and if we want to reach you?
Well, you can always give me a call.
Yeah.
You can always call us at 281-891-3721. I'll give that number out, as well as visit the website.
Yes.
That's AdvantageLifeCareSolutions.com.
Thank you so much, Kenyatta.
Absolutely.
And if you need treatment for alcohol or mental health illness, head over to www.findtreatment.gov to find help near you. Sue or Sit is up next. Don't move.
Welcome to All About the Law. And here's your host, Willie Powell.
Hey, I'm attorney Willie Powells. Allow me to be your personal injury attorney. If you've been involved in a horrible car or truck accident, give me a call today. Allow me to turn that horrible car accident into a beautiful symphony. Call me today at 281-881-2457. Again, that's 281-881-2457.
My prenatal promise is to make sure my baby is safe and healthy, because I know it is possible to acquire syphilis, HIV, or other STDs without knowing it. Getting tested is my very first chance to protect my baby. Doctors are required to give expectant mothers 3 separate tests for syphilis. If you're pregnant, ask your doctor if you're being tested properly for syphilis and other STDs. Congenital syphilis can lead to a miscarriage, stillbirth, or an infant death. Don't risk your baby's health. To find out more, visit myprenatalpromise.com.
If you would like to submit your video for Sue or Sit Your Ass Down, just head over to our Instagram page at All About the Law Show and click on the link in the bio.
Welcome back. It's time for this week's Sue or Sit Your Ass Down.
Good morning, Attorney Powells. My name is Tristan Boston. I have inherited 20 acres of land, and Freshwood Tree Service Company came out and cut 5 acres of timber and lumber off my land, and I need to know exactly how I need to go about suing them, or I need to just sit my ass down.
You know, that's a big deal. You know, I remember in law school, you know, there's not a lot of trees and stuff where I grew up, around where I grew up, but that's a big deal in places, you know, where it is. I mean, trees and I mean, I'm not a proverbial tree hugger, but I love trees, and I think it's important, you know, and I'm not making light of your question because I think it's a very good one. And I actually think that you may have a case, and, you know, this season, this might be the first one where I'm saying on the spot, we're going to have to make sure that, you know, the paperwork and all that stuff, there's no fine lines or something like that. But if they just basically willy-nilly or Willy Wonka all your trees down on 5 acres and they weren't supposed to, we may need to go knock on the door because that sounds pretty serious. And, you know, if they didn't have a right to do it, you may actually have a case, and you may be the first one that called in this first season where I'm going to say, I think we may have a case we might need to sue. Thank you so much for calling in, and give me a follow-up call on that one. Let's look at that one a little bit closer. I think we might have something there. I want to thank the City of Houston Health Department for becoming one of our sponsors. We are promoting their My Prenatal Promise initiative. If you would like to become a sponsor, reach out to us at allaboutthelaw@gmail.com. And if you have an idea or a topic for the show, a video to share, let me know about it. Hit us up on Facebook and Instagram at All About the Law Show. Also, if you ever need me for legal advice, or if you have been involved in an accident or a loved one's been involved in an accident, head over to williepowellslawfirm.com or give us a call at 281-881-2457. Again, that's 281-881-2457. Before I get out of here, I want to thank our guests today. We had attorney Todd Kelly and Kenyatta Sadiki of Advantage Lifecare Solutions. Thank you so much for joining us today. And now I want to leave everybody with this final thought. Are you growing? 2020 has been a really difficult year in so many ways. We have been inconvenienced, disappointed, frustrated, bereaved, displaced, and even disgraced, along with so much more. But when people look at our lives, do we look like what we've been through? Or do they see the fruit of our trials and struggles? No matter what you're going through, find the lesson and keep growing. That's it. And thank you for joining us for All About the Law. We'll see you next time.